Woo!
We are here, and we have now a forum for the County Commissioners District 2, and we have 3 of those candidates with us, and we are so happy. Of course, this is Fhionna, and I'm Daniel, and let's bring on Greg Rush, John Stanley, and Scott Hawkins. Thank you all 3 for being with us, and we really appreciate anybody who has the courage to run for public office. You guys are champions. Thank you. So we're going to dive right in, unless Fhionna, you have anything that you'd like to say?
Just thank you for being here, taking the time out of a Saturday. I appreciate that.
Yes, very much. So we'll start with opening statements, and we'll start with the sitting county commissioner for District 2, Greg Rush. Greg, opening statements, please.
Well, thank you for having me on here today. I'm just asking for your support from our District 2 residents. We've had a very successful last 12 months, but I am a Republican that I believe in our county. I was born and raised here in the county. I like to do all my business here in the county. We've raised 4 boys in this county. A couple of them work for me now, currently in our family business. And I feel like I have served our county well for the last 12 months, and I want to continue to serve the county.
Thank you very much, Greg. And now we will move on to John Stanley. John, opening statement, please.
Well, also, thank you for having me on this. And I do appreciate all the support and help that I am getting from everybody that has helped me on this short run for this seat. I moved down here 11 years ago and have got very heavily involved in the community and with like the Cattlemen's Association, the Pottawatomi County Republican Party, where I'm sitting on a chair here down in Precinct 37. I've worked with cattle groups on some political stuff, so I get real involved and really get into what I set my goals for. I really want to help the people out down here in District 2 and try to get things more fair and even for the employees also, and really work and listen to the people of the district to better the district down here in District 2 and help the people out. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, John, very much. And now we go to candidate Scott Hawkins. Scott, opening statements, please.
Sure. Thank you guys for putting this on. I look forward to it. So I'm a 20-year veteran county government employee. I live and breathe our county government. I have no other jobs except for serving the citizens of this county. It has been a great pleasure to be involved in our county government, from the sheriff's office to building projects, infrastructure changes, designing of the county government logo, the website, security measures, writing $725,000 worth of grants in the last 4.5-5 years. I just respect every elected official that we have, and they have supported me in my efforts, pushed me to do good things in our county government. And my family's been here since 1892. My kids are growing up here. They're Tecumseh Savages. We're very proud of local history. I'm a supporter of local history. Ask me anything you want to know about the sheriff's office or anything about the county government as far as formation, and I'll be your guy. I'm asking voters to vote for my dedication of 20 years serving you, doing great things, and I respectfully ask for your vote on June 18th.
Thank you very much, all 3 of you, well qualified. I would like to start things off by asking a question, because I really do think experience matters when we trust and put our trust into a leader. In my opinion, past accomplishments and failures pave the way to future success. Please share with us top of mind accomplishments that you or a group you have led has achieved that you believe benefited the community as a whole, or what you learned from personal failures, which you believe if you were elected or stay in office would benefit the community as a whole. And with that, we are going to start with you, John, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your accomplishments that have benefited the community.
Well, I think was with accomplishment and benefiting the community is serving on the board of the Pottawatomi County Cattlemen's Association. I was 2 years on the board, president-elect and president of it. And we held our, what we called educational meetings and brought people in to learn different things. And we try to stretch out and try to get more people in there all the time. I've set up there at the free fair and booth and collect the signatures and different things for different aspects as far as in the cattle business, stuff like that, trying to work on property rights to keep what we've got and not have the government overreach coming in and taking things away from us. But working for the people and doing things for the people is, I believe, my biggest accomplishment that I've done to try to help out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Insightful.
Yes.
And now we will move on to Scott Hawkins. Scott, talk about your accomplishments.
Sure. So like I said, in my early days, back in 2002, when I first started in county government, I was pushing our county commissioners to be more transparent for our citizens, to allow them to know what we're doing in our county government, because they didn't hardly put any information out. It took me a number of years and many county commissioners later to actually get a county government website up and running, putting information out, being more accessible to the public. I will tell you that I serve on several different state level boards, the Attorney General's Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board since 2014, where we review intimate partner homicides and making policy recommendations to our state leaders. I've also drafted legislation to benefit the citizens of Oklahoma, not just Pottawatomi County, to resurface protective order law, made it more accommodating for our victims to obtain protective orders from their attackers. The grants that I've wrote, programs, we would not have a violence against women program for the last 14 years if I hadn't wrote that grant or kept continuing to maintain that writing of that grant since I've been over that program. Same thing with victim advocate. We've never had a victim advocate in the county government either. We're one of the 2 law enforcement agencies in the state of Oklahoma that actually have a victim advocate. Okay. And without those programs and funding, you don't have those things.
That sounds good. Quite a lot of accomplishments there. And we're going to move on to Commissioner Greg Rush. Commissioner Rush, accomplishments that you feel benefit the community as a whole.
Well, I served on Gwinnett Fire Department for 22 years as a volunteer, was not paid to do that job. I retired for about 15 years from that and then come back to active duty to be the chief again as of the fire department to help them get reorganized and unify with our city council. I've also served as the chairman of the board for the Gwinnett Senior Citizens, which is called South Pottawatomi County Senior Citizens. I served chairman on the board as that. So I've served in my community here most of my life. I've managed our family business for 14 years. Then I was successful enough to purchase the business from my parents. So I've owned this business since 2008. Successful business. And I've also, had a year in the county commissioner's office. We've had to make a lot of changes in the programs. Some of them were tough changes. Some of them are just everyday changes. But I feel like I have served our community well and for many years. And I want to continue to serve the people. I want them to have a say. I want them to be able to contact us.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to transition into questions that each of you have for your opponents. So the way that this will work is you will ask a question and your two opponents will answer that question. You won't answer your own question. Then they will also, in turn, everybody will have that opportunity. So all three of you will have the opportunity to ask one question. So we're going to start with Scott. Scott, would you please pose a question for John and Greg?
Okay. Okay. So on page 27 of the Oklahoma Ethics Rules concerning candidate signage on all signs 18 by 24 or greater, all campaign signs must include a campaign disclosure. What is your view of the rules that are not followed?
So would that be, Scott, any rule or a rule? Are you asking
Specifically,
about that sign rule?
that sign rule.
Okay. And you would like their opinion on what? On, I don't know what the question is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So
just tell me the question. What's the
question? Is on all signs on page 27 of the Ethics Rules.
Got that.
Okay. All signs greater than 18 by 24
right
must have visible a campaign disclosure.
I got that. What's the question?
Okay, the question is what is your opinion of that if the rules are not followed?
I don't know how I would be able to answer that. I'm not sure how you. So wait just a second, Scott. Let me and Fhionna do this. I'm not sure how I would answer that.
Yeah, I think it's like he's practically saying, how do you feel about that rule? And if it's not followed. So like if your opponent didn't follow that rule, how would you feel about that? Or if you didn't follow that rule, how would you feel about that? Or if you don't follow the rule, why do you feel that that rule shouldn't be in place?
Right.
Is that too broad? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that could go, Scott. So I'm gonna ask this question because I think this is the heart of it, and I'm asking you, Scott.
Sure.
If you have a sign that does not follow this rule, because should you take it down?
Yeah, like
I mean, is that what what the question is? Okay.
Yeah, it's either ethical or unethical.
What are the rules? Can I know the rules?
Yeah,
what are the sign rules?
Read the rule again.
Yeah,
Scott.
sorry.
Okay. I really didn't mean to make this difficult.
No,
Okay.
This is how we all learn. It's good.
Okay, so let me just pull the screenshot of the page up. Okay. Okay, so this is large campaign signs larger than 18 by 24. Okay. Banners and all other campaign materials capable of reuse are required to have the same disclosure, but are not required to include the election year. And the rules state that you must have your campaign disclosure on all your signs or printed material that's for signs 18 by 24 or larger.
So is that 1.5 feet or is that 18 feet by 24 feet?
It says 18 by 24.
So it could be 18 feet by 24. It could be 18 inches by 24. It could be 18 millimeters by 24.
And can I ask a maybe obvious question?
Yeah.
What is a campaign disclosure, like what you're running for? What's a campaign like a?
No, it means who paid for that sign.
Right.
Oh,
what entity paid for that sign?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you for.
Okay, so. Okay, we're just going to roll with that, Scott, and we're going to say to your opponents, we're going to say, how do you feel about that rule? That's what I'm going to ask. All right. How do you feel about this rule? Here we go. And the first one to answer that is going to be, it's Greg Rush's turn. So we're going to go to Greg. We're going to ask you how you feel about that particular sign rule.
Well, I'll be honest. I did not know that rule was there. But there are also a lot of other rules that the Ethics Commission has to look into. But the Ethics Commission now, they don't do a whole lot about the signage because I've had 2 or 3 other concerns also about it. But yeah, we need to follow those rules. But like I said, I honestly did not know it was there.
Okay. Okay. Now we'll go on to John to ask, John, what is your feeling about that rule?
I knew it was there. I didn't follow it. I'll be honest. I guess I need to run around with a magic marker on the signs that I did myself and write on there approved by John Boy. I mean, that's all I guess I can do. And I can do that this afternoon if he wants it done that way. But I mean, but there's also rules and regulations set forth about where the signs would be placed. And yeah, the state removed some of mine. And I talked to them, moving back. But there's a lot of signs out there that, you know, one rule, you know, picking on one rule and not following it and not following all of them is kind of silly, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Scott, for that question. And I hope that we clarified it close enough to be able to get the responses that we need. And next, we're going to go to Greg with a question for the two, to his opponents, the two other candidates. Greg Rush, are you ready with a question? Here we go.
I don't have a question for anybody. I think both of these guys are capable of, you know, serving in this position. So I don't have any questions for them.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Actually, that says a lot. And John Boy, how about you? And I did just say John Boy. Sorry, man.
I know.
You say John Boy all you want. That's what everybody calls me. But I'm right there with Mr. Rush. I don't have a question because, you know, we'll keep this thing short and sweet and carry on because, you know, one question might just open up a can of worms and ain't good.
Oh, goodness. That's funny.
Okay. That sounds fine.
Yeah.
And so, Scott, thank you very much for your question.
Yeah.
And as always in these forums, you can answer questions. You can decline to answer questions. You can ask the question at your turn. You can decline. So wonderful. That's going to bring us down to us being able to ask you another question. And I bet, Fhionna, would you have a question for our candidates?
Yes. And since two of you guys didn't ask questions, I'm going to ask all three of you individual questions. So I do want to start with Scott Hawkins. So Scott, you've worked in the sheriff's department for the past 23 years,
It'll be 22 in November.
22 years. And I think that is so awesome. And when I was talking to my dad about it, I realized how involved in the community the sheriff's department is, obviously, and in the county. As I was thinking about this the last few days, and as a young, curious voter, I definitely want young voters to be curious and to ask these questions as well. So I know you, and I appreciate all that you do and all that you are. So I'm just going to ask, how going into this commissioner seat will you ensure that you won't be biased towards the sheriff's department completely, and you'll take into considerations all the line items in the budget that you will be looking over?
Sure. I mean, that is a great question. So yes, I probably will be the, I can't say in history, but to my knowledge, I don't know if there's been another commissioner that served that was actually in law enforcement or worked for the sheriff's office previously. But I will speak again to you guys about the cooperation that we have inside our county government with our elected officials. I already know, they already know me. I'm fair. I'm a very fair person. We work great together on the budget process. There are no issues there. We actually really have a lot of great elected officials, and they do know how to be team players, and that will never be a concern. I mean, I have sat on boards where I've had to make decisions with other sheriff's offices involved for grant funding, and if you just don't simply follow the rules, or it doesn't add up or doesn't meet the requirements for it, there's going to be negotiation and understanding in anything that we do, and in the end, we all have to be team players.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
I appreciate that, because I really was curious and I knew you'd tell me the answer. So I thank you. Okay, John Boy, Johnny Boy, you are next. John, so to me, this is your first time. Can I ask a quick two-parter? This is his first time running, right?
John ran last in a year ago.
Okay. Awesome. I do remember that from our phone call now. So John, what is the most exciting thing that you are looking forward to if you are to have this seat, since you've never been a commissioner or worked directly with the county previously?
Working with the people and find out what their needs are,
Mhm.
and doing all you can to help in each individual, because everybody has their own concerns and their own problems, and you got to address each one of them individually, and work with them in that aspect, because you can't do one thing one way and then another another, and try to make things fair for everybody regardless, an even playing field all the way around.
Right. I like that, John. Thank you for always being to the point and always being yourself whenever you get to that point. I already appreciate that about you so much. Now, Commissioner Rush, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you. Thank you for all you have done in your term so far. I am curious, Commissioner Rush, what is one thing that you feel adamant that you need to be in the seat coming forward in this next election that made you want to run again? What is the work that you want to continue doing as you fulfill this term?
Well, I've always felt like I wanted to be a representative of the people of our community. I feel like I have served them well, and I want to continue that. I want all of our residents to be able to pick the phone up and call us and say, "Hey, we've got a concern." We want to listen to that. We want to try to help them with everything they have that they're concerned about within our budget. That's a big thing, is working through all of our problems or all of our whatever we need. Our budget is what really tells us what we can do.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time and just answering our questions, and especially my questions. As a young, curious voter, I'm very honest with the fact that the county was something that I wasn't very familiar with. And I know that you guys all are into agriculture and have worked with the county. So I wore this for you guys today. I really did put it on with you guys in mind. It's as much cowboy as I can get, but
yeah. That's a great, what do you call that? Is that
I don't know. Actually.
Bow tie?
They're probably going to correct me and say it's not even on right or something.
Okay. So
it's a bolo.
A bolo. That's right. Bolo. Thank you. So we will move on now to closing comments. And I believe I have the reverse order right. If I would go Scott, John. No, I go John, Scott, Greg. Is that correct? John, Scott, Greg will be, and we want to keep these somewhere between a minute and no longer than 2 minutes. So we'll start with you, John Boy, and we'll go to closing statements.
Well, thanks again for having me on here. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we get to do things like this to reach out to people in different ways. And I really thank you guys for doing this. But a vote for me is going to be a vote for yourself, because I want to work for the people. I'm not doing this for myself in any way, shape, or form. The support I'm getting this time is really showing through, and with the people I'm knocking on the doors with and stuff like that, and the questions I'm getting asked, and even the question I got asked yesterday, and I did some digging on it to find out the facts on it and stuff like that. But that's me. If I don't know something, I'm going to question it, and then I'm going to dig, and that's what I will do for the people. And I'll try to make everything just as honest and trustworthy and fairness all the way across the board for everybody in the District 2, District 3, and District 1, because we all got to work together to make this a good county. And I really want to work for the people of District 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Succinct again. And now we will go to Mr. Hawkins. Scott, are you prepared? Here we go. We're going to go to closing statements with Scott Hawkins.
All right. Thank you again for putting this on. I appreciate your efforts in spreading the word about the information available to the voters, getting us out there. I just want to let everybody know that it's been an honor to serve this almost 22 years in our county government. I look forward to being your next District 2 County Commissioner if elected. I promise to always have an open door policy, be available to the public, and have transparency within the district and also for all county citizens in Pottawatomi County. I've already told you about writing the grants. I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore. I want to continue our efforts in getting all the funding that we can to help supplement our budget, put new programs in, and seek out further advancements. And I would appreciate your vote on June 18th.
Thank you very much, Scott. Very well said. And now we move to Commissioner Greg Rush. Commissioner Rush, your closing statements, please.
Well, I want to thank you for having all of us on here to get this information out to the public. And I agree with John and Scott both on some of their statements. We all have to work together in the county government with our elected officials. And we've done that for the past year that I've been in office, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've got a lot of support from the other elected officials and a lot of support from the community. I've had to order signs 4 times just on this election, just requests from people wanting signs. And I have bought all my signs within the county from businesses in the county. I like to do all my business here, try to keep it local. And then when it comes to the upgrades we've had to make in the county, we were lucky to have ARPA funds available that we could buy equipment with. And I've spent probably close to $600,000 just in our county purchasing equipment for our employees to use. We've had a very successful year. I've added, golly, four part-time employees, but we've also, worked on roads and bridges. That's a big issue. And these other guys that, with their road plans that they say they're going to do, it'll change. Mine has changed, and it's due to the budget. We only have a certain amount of money that we can use for roads and bridges. So if one of these candidates get in there, they will have to make changes just like I've had to make, just because of our budgets. But I'm asking for your support, and get out and vote on June the 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. June the 18th is a big day for all of us. And I want one clarification of something you said, please, Commissioner Rush. You said $600,000 of equipment. Is that total? Were you saying that the placement of those purchases, meaning where you bought them from, was over $600,000 worth of equipment from within the county? Or is that total the equipment that was bought?
That is total for all the equipment. I did $280,000 worth of tractors here in the county with a dealership.
Sure.
I had to go out of county to buy a couple of the vehicles and one of the big excavators that weren't available here in this county.
Okay. Sure. I understand. I just wanted clarification of the equipment purchase.
Yeah,
really. So we
go out to our local vendors first. We want to keep our money local as we can.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think that's great for all of us. That's something that everybody in the community needs to hear. I certainly want to thank you all.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate learning from you all.
Yes. And I say it's courageous to run. Scott, we've known you and Mary for a very long time. We just love you guys and love your family. John Boy, you, I see you at meetings. You've always got a smile on your face. And Greg, over the last year and a half that we've been able to get to know each other, I really respect you, respect the job that you do and just who you are as a person. And again, I think it's a great choice for our community, for District 2 County Commissioners. You guys are all solid. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you guys, and have a great weekend.
We're gonna sign off now with, traditionally at Shawnee CTV, what we say is, together we build in community, one season at a time. Guys, thank you very much, and tell everybody goodbye as we sign off.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good weekend too.